We're laughing and talking, the popcorn is popping, yeah. In my PJs, love the way we vibe, this girl talk all night, yeah.
We're not looking at campaign.
Yes, you are. I mean, on purpose. When we get young, but sometimes we talk to people in the camera.
Oh, when I talk to you.
I do talk to
Y'all all right?
And everybody says hashtag vessel.
That's all. That's that 50 plus right
Hi guys, welcome back to MIPJs.
MI.
Today is a special edition of MIPJs.
there. Yeah.
I am Tara, the misunderstood one, the one with the face. Sorry.
Crystal, Freedom, The Quiet Storm.
Hey, Famika Louise, I am the free spirit of the bunch.
And Keely, I'm back. Yes, the queen. Okay, Princess Diva, whatever. And they say I'm opinionated. Y'all know I am passionate about what I believe in, baby.
Yeah.
So tonight we have special guests with us in the house.
Hey,
Yay!
thank you.
We have the beautiful Miss Nancy Nicole with us. We have Mr. Paul Dean trying to hide back there.
Happy birthday!
Paul's trying to bring light skin back
We ain't never left.
in. And then we have the wonderful Mr. Tony Green.
Yeah, this is the 50 plus. Yeah.
So tonight we just wanted to talk to you about the industry, the entertainment industry. For those of you that are trying to break into the entertainment industry, you have a thought, idea, you're unsure, you have questions, we have had the opportunity to spend the day with this wonderful man. And he has given us so much knowledge. So we decided to share it with you. So, I don't know what questions we're going to ask, but like I said, we just came off top of the head with this. We've been drinking, so.
Yes, I've been drinking plenty of
Apologize
water.
ahead of time.
With disclosure.
Mama.
Pink lemonade Sprite.
So I guess I'll start over with the first question. So Tony, tell us about your experience in regards to starting new back in the 90s when you had your first offer or your first audition.
I'm gonna be honest with you, my first and only audition. When it comes to theater, I'd never done theater before. That wasn't even a thought. I mean, I wouldn't even sing because I thought singing was for girls.
Wow.
The women in my family were singers. I was a drummer, and I was just like, nah. When they were like, sing something, I was like, oh no.
So Luther didn't inspire you?
At all. Not at all. Not at all.
New audition?
No. Didn't inspire me at all. I was like, look, I get the girls off of y'all, so I'm good. But
You got a cassette tape in?
the Quiet Storm is like my only.
Right.
Like the lyrics down as a love letter.
Yeah, that's it. Do you like me? Yes or no? Circle. That's good. So I got involved in theater. Actually, I was with this 5-member group. I had the opportunity of possibly being one of the members of Take 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When Mervyn Warren quit, I got the call from Take 6, and then Mark Kibble's younger brother decided he wanted to do it. So I just moved away from that, and then I got a call from a gentleman that was on a radio station. He's like, man, I heard you have an amazing voice. I want you to come and do this play.
Hey,
I was like,
Tony,
yes,
can I
ma'am.
interject right
You sure
quick?
can.
Because how did you get to that point to where you were even recognizable by anyone that had anything to do with Take 6?
Right.
What happened was I was convinced to sing a song at church, and I was on the drums playing, and I was singing and playing at the same time.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So, and you never know who's in the audience.
Right.
There you go.
So it went from there, and it just spread. And I was at a Seventh-day Adventist church, which was
Oh,
was
wow.
a
That's
denomination.
really interesting.
And it spread from there, and then someone from the radio station heard about it and was like, I want you to come and audition for my play. The winner would receive $1,000 and the lead role. Well, when I went, this is crazy. The guy told me, he was like, we're only going to audition 10 people. Well, this particular day, I was staying with my cousin at the time. I had no money, I had nothing. I was like, I'm not going to do all this, I ain't got no money and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go. But I didn't have enough money to catch a bus. My cousin had a car at work, and I was like, okay. So I went to the guy on the bus stop, and I was like, look, man, if you just let me go to do this, I promise I'll pay you. Of course, I got cussed out first. Like, nigga, you don't pay me, you know. You don't pay me, you know, I'm come looking for you. I'm a bus man. How the bus dude gonna come down? I'm looking for you, you know.
Come back to the
Map, like,
I went this come find you. And so he was like, you don't pay me. So when I got there, it was raining. I was sick. I had a cold. When I got there, it was crazy. I was number 11 in line.
Oh boy. And they're only audition.
They only were going to audition 10.
Oh God.
So then the guy that was number 7, it was a brother. He came to the back of the line. He said, I have no idea why I'm doing this, but take my spot
Okay.
and go in and do your thing.
God.
And I was like,
Wow.
what?
Wow.
He said, I don't know. He said, just go ahead, man. Because they heard me sneezing and coughing and all that stuff. He's like, go ahead and do your thing. So when I got inside, all of a sudden, the auditions opened up because a plethora of people just showed up. It was like close to 100 people. And I got inside, and when it came time for me, I didn't know what I was going to do. But then there was a song my mother used to sing called He Looked Beyond My Faults and Saw My Needs.
Yes.
And I closed my eyes and I started singing it. And when I was done, the whole place was tore up. It was done. And the writer was the late Reverend David Payton said to me, okay, we're going to let the audience choose who won. And they chose me.
Wow.
I won the lead role of Good Man Is Hard to Find, and I've been doing it ever since. And I haven't had an audition. I haven't had the audition again. So in 1993, 4, I did I'm sorry. Wait. Well, I'm saying that because 5 months after being in the play, the president of A&M Records, we went to Philly, the president of A&M Records was sitting in the audience. He gave me a record deal right on the spot.
Wow.
A year later, they moved me to LA.
Awesome.
They held on to me too long. I asked for a release. Next thing you know, I ended up on Aftermath with,
Oh, wow.
with Dr. Dre. With Dre, when he left Death Row, I asked for a release from that because they was doing some things I didn't come from, and I was like, this is a little bit dangerous. We do other stuff.
I'm good. My brother likes talking about that.
Right, I'm like, we not gonna do that. So I left there. I was on the basketball court. My manager called me and said, I need you at LaFace Records. I was like, what? She's like, I need you to go to LaFace right now. And I said, and do what? She said, you got your music in the car with you? I was like, yeah. She said, you're going in for the lead singer of As Yet. And I went in, I sung, and bam. I hit, and I just ended up being in the group and traveling around the world. And all
Let
that
me
kind of
ask you
stuff.
about this. Can you tell our audience, because one thing you said was that the president of A&R Records was in the audience and he gave you a deal right on the spot.
On the spot.
How important is it to always be ready?
Yes.
It's life and death. Because it could be your beginning and it could be your end. So you got to make sure that you're giving it 150% no matter what you do, and always be on point, and never ever feel insecure and inferior to someone else. Do you. If you do you, you're going to be fine. And I think the key that got me that deal was I stood out from the rest of everybody else. I wasn't trying to do what they were doing.
Right.
I didn't get on stage to try to get house. I got on stage to try to deliver a message, and it went forth, and they saw something in me that was marketable enough to say, I'm going to take my business and invest in you. And it was a blessing for me, and it ended up, I made about $125,000 in a year, and they paid for my apartment for a year, they paid for my car rental for a year, and I went all over the place recording and singing and all that stuff. So you have to be ready, because you never know who's sitting in the audience. I had no clue these people were sitting in the audience. This is a big old Italian man. When he came backstage, I was like, what?
Right.
I'm just singing.
Right.
And he had on all black. All black suit. He was tall. He was like 6'4". And I was like,
Like the omen.
yeah. So I was a little uncomfortable. And he was like, man, you blew me away. I'm impressed.
Awesome.
Wow.
And now the crazy part is we brought up Luther earlier. Luther was my label mate. At the time, Janet was my label mate. And Angie Stone was my label mate. Brian McKnight was just getting started. Joe was just getting started. They were all signed to Taboo and Perspective, which were subsidiaries of A&M Records. So everybody seemed like that I grew up, sneaking to listen to. They were my label mates. So, like, the first R&B song I ever listened to was Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On. And I snuck to hear that. So, it was a thing where I try not to say this too much because I've noticed that it makes some people angry when I say, entertainment, singing, all that. That was not my dream. But then I've been blessed in it so intensely, and I've dealt with people that've gone to school for this for 20 years, and they done cussed me out.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah. These guys have cussed me. I'm like, it's like you make me sick. I go to school 20 years. You pop up on the scene, you get a stand ovation every night. And this ain't even where your heart is at. It's my gift. It's my gift, and God anointed me to do it.
That's
So
absolutely right.
I just continue to move in that direction, and I try not to gloat, for over people that have studied this art for 20 years, but I believe one of the things I believe is this: if it's in your heart and you give it your best, then it's gonna rise. It's gotta go. It's gotta go up. It's gotta go up. And sometimes we rely on what's on the paper instead of what's in the heart,
Right.
and that's where we lose.
That's where
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So is that how you got into acting? Where did the whole acting thing come
From stage play.
from? Oh, that's right.
From stage play.
From stage.
I got into stage play, and then when I was in the Good Man's Hard to Find, and I left there, and I did a play called Mama, I'm Sorry, with a gentleman named Mike Matthews from here.
Oh, Mike Matthews.
And then I left there, and I got with Angela Barrel Dunlap, native of here, and we did If These Hips Could Talk, and then we did, we did Why Do Good Girls Like Bad Boys,
Oh, I remember.
which is where I met Tyler Perry.
Oh, that's right. 'cause he
I got
was
pictures of
talking-
Tyler when he was young. He came backstage, and he was like, man, I'm up and coming writer. This was before he did his first play. I'm up and coming writer, and I want to work with you one day. I said, you just call me.
Wow.
And he did. And when I tell you he did, I was shocked. I was in Dallas, and he was in Houston. And he found out I was in Dallas doing another show, and he said, man, if you're free, I want you to come. He flew me to Houston, he was doing I Could Do Bad All By Myself. And I sat on the front row, and my side was hurting. I said, this dude is a star, and he don't even know it.
Everything he touches.
Everything he touches. So then he said, look, I got this I'm doing with Bishop Jakes, which is Woman Laura Luce.
Okay.
And we did that, and then we did Behind Closed Doors, and I've been working with him ever since.
Wow, that's
Definitely.
It's been a
That's
blessing.
awesome.
Been amazing.
So do you prefer theater or camera?
Right. That's a good
Mm.
question.
Oh, both.
I prefer theater. Yeah, because I get to feel people. And I love people. I feel that every person, every individual, if you're alive, you're God's child. So with that being said, I have an opportunity, if you're in my space, to say something encouraging or uplifting to you, whether I'm on stage or off stage. So when I'm on stage, that's my mindset. My mindset is, okay, I need to go out here, be a part of this message so that God's people can be blessed.
Yeah.
And I try not to allow anything to annoy me or confuse me or frustrate me in any way before a show. Because if I do, then I know that I didn't give it my best.
Right.
And I feel like I cheated them.
Yes.
And I don't hesitate to take a picture or say thank you or hello or whatever to people that bought a ticket to come and see me because you feed me and my family.
Right.
Without you, I don't eat.
Right.
So people are
A
like,
lot of
man,
people
you
don't
need
do that.
Yeah, you need to charge $20 to take a picture with the phone. I was like, for what? I'm not charging no people to take a picture with their phone. They can sit in the audience, just go click what? And then what? So I'm just open to that when it comes to people, and I understand that without people there is no me.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, Paul, you've also you do theater, and not just local in one particular city. You across the country doing plays, right?
Yes.
You just got back from LA, right?
Yeah, I just got back from LA doing Angry Insecure Men with
AIM!
Yeah, AIM. Angel Terry. Wonderful playwright with an outstanding cast.
Awesome.
It was a one night only thing. I flew out Tuesday. The show was Saturday.
Okay.
So it was a great time. I had a great time with it. It was a little different. The stage was different. Definitely was different. It was a little smaller, but the room was like nothing but influencers in the crowd. I mean, nothing but influencers.
Yes, VH1 was videoing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was there. I was there, by the way.
Right. He and his wife hosted the show.
Yes.
Look, killing on the fashion tip, by the way.
Okay.
As
That's
always.
what you gotta do.
I'm sure, right.
That's what you do. So it was myself, Jackie Christie, Blue Kimbo, Reese Odom, who was phenomenal. She was
And the
lead.
whole cast of LA Wives, LA Basketball Wives,
Right, they
sat
came.
in the front row.
Yeah, they came. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. Don B. Welch was there.
Right.
It was a lot
Amazing
of
writer.
Yes,
Amazing
a lot
writer.
of different people. So yeah, I've been doing it for about almost 11 years now.
How'd you get into acting? Did you know like that? Was it intentional? I guess let me put it that way. Did you intentionally seek out
Some
an
plans?
acting career?
No. I'm like bro here. I'm like Tony. I did not seek to do acting. I went to school to be a lawyer, and a young
Well, I
lady.
mean, that's kind of like acting.
Well, I mean, no, hold on.
It's
Because
not
it is.
supposed to press
No,
just
because it is. It is because you have to put on a show in the courtroom. You know you have to dramatize things in the courtroom. So it is kind of like acting. But I never thought I would be an actor on stage or in front of a camera. And this young lady said, "Listen, I don't have enough black people to do this play." No, I'm serious. That's how she came to me. I was walking to the library with all my books, and she said, I said, "Well, I don't have time. You see this? I'm not going to study." She said, "I'll pay you." I said, "When is rehearsal?" You know what I'm
What time
saying?
you want me there?
Right, you know what I mean? And my very first play was August Wilson's
Ooh,
Bourbon at the Board.
anything.
Oh
with him.
boy, anything.
And I played the lead character,
Oh,
Charlie.
wow.
He was a schizophrenic
Oh, wow.
freedom summer fighter who went to get people to in the South to register to vote. And he winds up breaking his leg. His wife gets raped, and he's back in Detroit thinking about going over to Canada because of the oppression that was going on. And that was my very first role.
Wow.
And the last scene. Now, mind you, this dude is schizophrenic. I'm my last scene. I'm covered in blood, and I'm sitting on this treasure chest, waiting for my wife to walk in so I can tell her what I've done. And I just hear God say, "This is what I want you to do." Literally.
So you in the middle of acting.
In the middle of
you get
acting,
your revelation.
and I get a revelation because I was always the type of person that I did a lot of things because I was good at it,
Yeah, same
not
here.
because I was passionate.
Same
Oh,
here.
You know,
okay.
Same here.
and it's like I want something that I can
I
say,
know
"This
what
is
this
me."
Absolutely.
I can witness to that.
Yeah.
I used to go to my mother and go, "How do you know what you're supposed to do?"
Exactly.
She was like, "It will hit you."
Yes.
Now in my mind,
What I wanted to do was what I was supposed to do.
Right.
But it didn't work out.
Right.
Well, this is my question to you, Paul,
Yes.
and you as well, Tony, because a lot of us, like you saying, you were off to be a lawyer,
Mhm.
right? You,
I was off to fly jet. Air Force.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you wanted to be a pilot?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so here we go. So you were approached, and you've never done this before, ever.
Never.
Ever. So you're on stage, and you're learning these lines. You've never done this acting before, ever. Where did you draw? How did you know how to become or portray this powerful? I mean, that's a powerful character. Like you weren't just
Yeah,
like
you're just so.
any.
Ain't no
Like,
regular
like,
stuff.
you weren't just no okey doke character. You had a powerful character, and you weren't. You were a
No
lead.
training, no nothing.
The
right.
lead. So you
That's
tell me and everyone else that is trying to pursue this dream, how did you, or where did you draw from to bring this character to life? And you've never ever done this before.
I can't lie. It was strictly God. I mean,
Right.
of course, like, you know, she gave me pointers.
Okay.
She's like, "Okay, so you've never been schizophrenic before, I hope not. I said, no. Okay. Do you know anybody that's schizophrenic? And I'm like, not really. You know what I'm saying? Now, I have people in my family that suffers from bipolarism and things of that nature. She said, well, look at some movies that you can possibly draw from.
Okay.
So I went out and I studied a couple of movies. But other than that, drawing for myself, when I read a script, it's a movie to me. It's like it's playing out in my head. I can see where I'm standing at. I'm seeing the inflections. I'm seeing the expressions on my face, on other people's faces. That's what I do when I look at a script. And so as I was reading the script, I saw Charlie. And so what I did, y'all won't believe this. I took a cane and I walked with a cane. I put a big rock in my shoe because Charlie had his leg broken in 2 different places. So I put a rock in my shoe. So I would have to wobble, okay, to get get used to doing it, right? For him, far as what he was doing, because he's like, I think he was, in my head, he was 54 years old. By the time he gets out the asylum and comes back home. So of course, they had to grade me up. I had my hair, I had a fro at the time. Another story. But so as I was getting into the character, I said, okay, what can I draw from? I drew it from my dad, my dad's morals, because my dad is like, he's a man's man, he's military, he's a Marine. So he's like, okay, provide. Well, Charlie couldn't provide to protect his wife. So I'm like, how would my dad react if he could not protect me and my mom? Then I drew from my grandfather. He's also military. His swag, because Charlie had swag too. So I'm like, okay, I'm drawing from these people, and then the Spirit just did the rest. Just take a little bit, because acting is well, first of all, it's not acting, it's being. And when you're being, you're taking from different things. It's like Denzel. Yeah, it's real life. So it's like Denzel in Flight, which I love, because this man has never done dope before. But you swap it down, he was a dope head. You know what I mean? He's never been a drunk, but you swap it down, he was a drunk. And because he's taking different things from his life. And I went through a lot of things in my life that I look back now like, okay, I had to go through that just like that, so that I can do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same for you.
Well,
So
for
now
me,
you
it was more the teaching of my grandmother. When we talk about her.
Yeah, man. Hey, she got some grandmother.
It was more it was the little things that my grandmother would say, but when it comes to acting, it was more of what my mother did. And my mother, this was my mother, because I grew up in North Carolina in the country. It was, Mom, I'm bored. Okay, go outside and figure it out. It was the simple thing of learning how to be creative. Now, when I would go outside, all I had to play with was green grass, dirt, and pine trees and pine needles. There was nothing else to play with. So I had to figure out how to be creative in playing. So what I did was, I loved sports so much as a kid, I took a pine cone and I created a whole football game all by myself.
Wow.
I played 11 men on offense and 11 men on defense. And I creatively played a whole game by myself. And my mom, I remember my mother said, her and my grandmother were standing in the window watching me in the yard. And I was the commentator. I was the quarterback. He hands off to Tony Dorsett. He's tackled by the phone, and I would fall on the ground, tackle myself, and get up and blah blah. Put the ball down. I was the quarterback, center, the whole nine. So I creatively didn't even know it. I was pretending and putting this together, and I was these characters. So once I fell into acting, it was like a second nature to me. My first day on stage, I got standing ovation, and I was shocked. I was totally shocked at the response that I got from people when I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But one day it caught me. I was doing with David Talbot. I was doing Fabric of a Man. And me and Shamar Moore was kind of battling for this role. And Shamar had Soul Train, all those different things. And he, all I had was Ash Yad, which was big, but still, I was considered a singer. So when I got up in rehearsal and I did the part, Dave Talbot looked at me and he said, wow, you're really good. He said, but let me ask you a question. you ain't got a clue what you doing up there, baby. And I'm in front of everybody.
Right.
So I said, no, dog. I had no technical training, no nothing. I didn't have a clue what stage left, stage right, or anything. Remember I said earlier, I went strictly by instinct. I went strictly by the senses that God gave me. And I used them in performing, and it worked.
Yeah.
So he said to me, he said, you know what, Tony, go get this book, and just read it. And I did. I got Respect for Acting. Respect for Acting by
Right,
Uta
exactly.
Hagen. I went and I studied the Stanislavski method, the Meisner method, and I was like, wow, these dudes were a trip. But Uta Hagen was a genius. So in reading that, I said, okay, I'm gonna get this, because I don't want to ever be up there and now I gotta explain to young people when I go to school, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So I learned it. And I've never taken an acting lesson, I've never taken a vocal lesson, any of that. It's just God-given gift that he anointed and said, okay, I'm gonna use you in this area to bless people. I did a radio interview in Memphis, Tennessee. And when I was growing up, you hear about people say, you can't serve two masters now. You either be in the world or the world, blah, blah. You can't sing R&B music and you're over here in church. I would hear that growing up. But when I went to Memphis for this interview, this lady said to me, she said, I have to say this. She said, because I've been watching your career. You're actually the first person I know that has been able to tie secular and spiritual together and people not dog you out. I said, that's because God is making a movement. God's making a movement. Why can't I be a Christian and be used in this secular world?
Absolutely.
And to be able to show people that, you know what? God's way is the best way. It's not your job, it's how you live. And if the doorbell rings, no, it's Genesis.
Would you like to FaceTime too?
Nevertheless,
Nevertheless, our daughter is FaceTiming her. We'll call you back, Jenny.
we'll call you back, Jenny, go.
I was using it for the clock, actually.
Oh, okay. But I'm trying to ring her off.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, I just don't keep it
In our PJs.
in our PJs.
Yeah. So that's basically my story in a nutshell. But I don't want to discourage anyone from studying and going to school.
And that's what I was going
Please
to ask you
don't.
about.
Right.
Because
Please
at
don't.
some point, did you at least have coaches or somebody telling you some technical things? So
No.
how did you learn the technical aspects?
I
Don't
watched.
use that hand, use this hand.
Well, then nobody told me that. Nobody, you know what it is? Even like with Tyler, he trusted. I've done it so much, and I come from a real place. I've never been directed in that. Don't use this hand. Don't use that hand, because I believe in living in the truth. So when you're on stage or when you're performing in a theatrical play, as long as you're living in the truth, what you do is going to happen naturally.
Yeah.
It's going to happen naturally, and nature always takes over technicality. You know what I'm saying? So if you use if you use the technical side of it, then sometimes you're going to have people looking at you going,
It's not real.
That's
that
not-
don't-
ain't nobody going to do that.
Okay.
You know, ain't no way in the world he going to jump from the floor all the way to the 10th floor and not break a bone. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of thing, and then stand there and smile. Oh, hey, honey, how are you? So it's that kind of thing that if you do it, if you believe in the truth of it, and you stay in the moment,
Yeah.
the natural instincts will take over every time,
Every
and
time.
you'll win. That's why I love what's her name on Empire?
Cookie?
Cookie.
Taraji.
Taraji
Taraji is awesome.
works in realism.
Awesome.
She works. If you watch her
She is
facial
bold.
expression
Yes.
off of that, I love actors
And her
that act.
eyes.
That's what I'm gonna say. I love actors that act and they don't have to say a word.
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
You
eyes,
see it in
they-
their movement, and sometimes she don't have to say.
Cause in
nothing.
acrimony, you was like, I'm pissed with you, girl.
Which I couldn't go see that.
Yeah, but I literally.
Go see it.
That movie
It was the face though.
it
like
made
you
me
said.
sensitive.
No, but it was the face. It was a different little twist to it, but her facial expressions when she was
Yeah.
sitting on that couch, you was like, I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, so
Yeah, I
please
haven't
don't say
seen
It's
anything.
good.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's
No, I haven't seen it.
No.
But like you said though,
Okay.
but like you said,
Yes.
like you can't teach that instinct. you either have it or you don't.
That's that natural.
You know, you can teach, okay, make sure you use your upstage hand, make sure you do this,
Turn
make sure
stage
you
right.
turn stage right, don't profile, don't do this, don't do that. But you can't teach certain things, like you said, instinct, man.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I said earlier. If the technical side would be, okay, if somebody said to you, I'm gonna need you to walk over to the other side of that couch, but on the way to the other side of the couch, you knock that over.
Right,
The technical side is not telling you to pick it up.
Right.
right.
The natural instinct says stop, reach down, pick it up. It's part of the scene.
Being a thinking
Right,
man.
So pick
right,
it up.
right.
Pick it up. So I don't go by the technical side of it. I leave the technical side to the lights, sound, things of that nature. But when it comes to the acting side, I strictly rely on instinct.
Yeah.
That's
Strictly.
interesting.
Yeah, and again, we're not discouraging anybody. that
No,
wants to go on
no.
stage.
Go to school. Get your degrees. Please.
Do it.
Go.
I feel a lot.
So wait, let me ask you. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
But so do you think because people and we have a real conversation, we have real conversation on this show. Do you think that the fact that y'all always saying just go with your instinct and use your instincts, that's why other people call it the black theater and black movies, the Chitlin Circuit?
No.
No.
No, they call it black theater or the Chitlin Circus because they're doing what they saw somebody else already do. You see what I'm saying? They're taking somebody else's life, or they're biting off of a movie, and they're putting that same interaction in the play, and you go, that's Chitlin Circus, that's not real. Because ain't no way in the world somebody going, in other words,
I thought it was
The Chitlin Circuit. No.
yeah, that's like somebody getting shot, and they put him in the casket, and they come up singing.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying, that's not real.
Right. So the Chitlin Circuit, the Chitlin Circuit was created when blacks were trying when we weren't allowed to be in these productions. So they call it the Chitlin Circuit because it was like little pockets here where we were able to be free to do us. That's where the Chitlin Circuit was born.
Right. And then people took urban theater and called it Chitlin Circuit
Right.
because there was fear. There was
Right.
some fear that came about with urban theater because we was making more money
Yeah.
than the other
Exactly.
Right.
Sure.
theater. I'm not mentioning no names, but we were making more money than the other types of theater.
Yes.
And people were able to see things on stage that they could relate to.
Yes.
People were going to theater shows before they go to church.
Exactly.
And then theater was also
People
talking
still
about
go to
things.
theater shows.
Right. But people in theater were talking about things church wouldn't talk about.
Right. Relative things.
So we gotta put a negative spin on it
Yeah.
to try to prevent you from going there. And
Right.
you come on over here. And I ain't prevent people from going to church, but come over here and pray your tithes and listen. Instead of taking that $20, going over to the theater and getting this amazing message that you can relate to that'll help you heal from stuff that your grandpa did 30, 40 years ago. All right, I felt like a citizen.
Yo,
But see, that's why I just feel like, as the church has missed the whole purpose, right? We are supposed to be the light in dark places, and that does not mean I need to be a light among the light. And we are fading out because we stay amongst the light and never go into dark places. And so, for me, I didn't go to school. I went to school for IT. That's my thing.
Yeah.
But my first play, Paul was in. I did my first play with him, and you would have never told me that I would have done play ever in life.
I mean,
That's how it was.
Ever. Like,
Ever.
they just recommended. They were like, hey, you need to go audition for my friend. And I was like, okay, you see that in me? I didn't see it in myself. I told you, I have struggled with low self-esteem. So when I went to the audition and I got into it, I was like, I love it, but I'm just that artsy girl.
Right.
Like, I love music, I love dance. I mean, I thought I was Janet Jackson. Like you said, that was your label.
see, huh?
I was doing her routines when I was little, you know?
See, you just said something that I say to every woman that I run into that suffers with this, that suffers with low self-esteem. I say this to everyone. I don't care her age, her race, her size, or anything. You're being disrespectful.
That is so true.
Oh, no, I know.
Let me tell you why.
That is
You're so beautiful. God gave you tremendous gifts that we as men can never tap
ever
into.
experience.
Never tap into. It's disrespectful because you're perfectly, creatively made by God.
Oh,
So for you
let me sound like
to
one of them
feel
characters from Broadway.
anything to feel anything less than what you are
Yes.
is disrespectful.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I'm good. Like now, I'm comfortable in my skin, but when back then,
right.
I wasn't. But I did what I felt because I've always been just purple. God lead me. God lead me. And so just to hear your testimony, it's like that confirmation of like, now keep going.
Yeah.
So I thank you both for your testimony because it's a confirmation like, don't stop.
Girl,
Just
man,
keep
look,
going.
But that's just like
You're
even
not
to
the only
bounce
one.
off of
So
what
do
you
men
said, how you
deal with
didn't
that?
think
I'm
that.
about to.
Oh, yeah, we saw that.
Y'all do this on
Absolutely.
stage?
Yeah, I
Let me
do.
tell you, I used to when I was in school.
But that just
I
bounces
used
off.
to,
Nikki though,
oh,
you know, Nikki, I've known her for 20 plus years, and she's always been a character. She's always been a riot. She's always been a character. She's always been a riot. She's bright, intelligent. So when I started writing, when I realized my purpose, she came to my mind. She came to my heart, and I hadn't talked to her in forever.
Right.
Like, Nick, I'm doing this project. You have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And she has just started doing different things, and she's getting out there. She's blossoming. She's evolving, and she is winning. And I'm just proud of her.
You're not the nigga that press was talking about.
Not done, Nikki.
Stupid. But no, but
I mean, I know a little bit about what you did or have done. Didn't you do something in sports? I mean, because sports is not a typical, was it commentating or
Yeah, I've done that as
something?
well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not like typical for women to do. So, I mean, I applaud you for that. You know, just even having the courage to go out there in a field where women aren't always protected. Women just don't always have a presence. I mean, that's big. That's big.
I want to say this, and this is to encourage everybody, all of us, because when I go into the depths of my life, which everybody keeps telling me you need to write a book because I've dealt with some stuff, but in dealing with some stuff, I can honestly say to you, my failures have been my greatest success.
That is awesome.
My failures
Listen.
have
We're gonna
been
awesome.
the
And the
greatest,
betrayal.
the
will
greatest
also be your greatest
success.
success.
And let me tell you why that is.
That's deep.
It is that my failures and betrayal have been my greatest success simply because I had to come to the place where I learned that God orders my steps. And there's nothing I can do without him. So what's for me is for me. There's no devil, there's no person, there's no nothing that can stop or hinder what God has for me except for me.
Yes.
I'm the one that can stop that. Now, should I feel bad if I hinder what God has for me? No, I shouldn't. You know why? Because he loves me so much that he knows if I'm not ready for something.
That's so
And I
awesome.
remember I sat in the car. I was homeless. I didn't have to be. I didn't have to be homeless. But I did it on purpose. See, when I was growing up in North Carolina, you had a place to go. You needed to get away. I could run off in the woods and just cry out to God. In LA? No. Ain't nowhere to go. You walk out on that beach and you start hollering, they come to get you.
yeah.
You can't go anywhere. So I sat in my car. And I sat in my car for like 2-3 weeks and I cried out to God. And I was angry with God. I was so angry. I was like, I don't feel like praying. I don't want to pray. I'm not reading. I don't want to talk to you. I didn't get to this point in my life. What? And I heard the voice of God. I heard God laughing, chuckling at me. And I was like, you laughing? And he's like, this is the most honest you've ever been with me. And you're in a low place. But this is the moment of being honest. When you got everything going for you, you ain't being honest because you ain't being real with you.
So you think you had to get to that low
Oh, I
place?
had to.
Absolutely.
This was my career. Once I became honest with God, my career did this. It just went forward. Next thing I knew, I went from being, I guess I told you guys how I was in college.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I went from being
A hot mess.
Now watch this.
They don't know I'm telling
I
you
went
a hot
from
mess.
being a hot mess that women wanted to sleep with to being the ideal husband.
Amen. All right.
ideal husband. I went to that place where women would watch me on TV or in a plane and go, I want my husband
to be
to
like
be
that.
like that.
Absolutely.
That's a badge of honor.
Yes, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Say it.
To go from being that other dude to being someone that women would look at and say, I want to marry a man like that, or women coming to me after a show or whatever and saying, I'm going home and I'm going to talk to my husband. I'm going to apologize to my husband. I'm going to start cooking for him. I'm going to start doing things for him, because they would see how I would treat the women that I would act across from. But then for them to see me to be totally transparent with my wife, my current wife, and see how I treat her, it's like, how does that work? You're putting her in front of you. And I'm like, of course, because I got her back.
Amen.
I got her back. Well, let's look at the virtuous woman. Virtuous woman, well, she made him look good.
Yeah.
I can't look good standing in front of my wife. I got to stand behind her.
Yeah.
Because she look better than me, so bow, there it is. All that comes off on me. So it helps me look good in the community. You know, I was out the other day and I was walking my dogs and people were just speaking. Hey, how's Trisha?
You're Trisha's husband.
That's Trisha's dog.
I was like, wow, okay. And it was just so joyous and happy. I was like, I went in the house, I was like, you know what, baby, thank you. Thank you.
That's
Thank
what's
you.
up.
You make my job easy. I don't have to
No,
work
that's
as hard.
right.
I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to go out here and
That's what's up.
pretend. You
That's
know,
what's
I don't have to go out here and say, hey, how y'all doing? Y'all know me.
I'm Trisha's husband.
Right.
So, you know, this journey has been amazing for me, and it's been a tremendous blessing for me. But I realize and understand it's not for me.
Yes.
It's not for me at all, and I feel bad for people that take ownership of the gifts.
Right.
They take ownership of the gifts that God's given me. And I love my grandmother. My grandmother used to say this to me: talent, we all got it. Everybody got it. Everybody got talent. Talent impresses people. Gifts move people.
Wow.
You want that.
Yes.
Wow.
That's what you want. And that's exactly what I prayed for. And God blessed me with it.
So we were starting a question before we got off into that in regards to, 'cause I know as a woman, you mentioned about self-esteem issues. I've had self-esteem issues. I wanted to know if the fellas also experienced self-esteem issues or something close to it, like, 'cause we don't
Yeah.
Some
We
type
don't
of
know.
insecurity.
Well,
something.
for me, so like I swear we like the same person. So people have told me I need to write a book as well about my life, because I've been through some stuff too. And I used to, just a little snippet, like I used to get in the mirror when I was younger because some stuff had happened in my life, and I would just tell myself I hated myself in the mirror.
Oh, words
I literally would just say I hate myself because of situations that I had been in. And I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like my nose. And then pimples came, and I'm looking like a darn pepperoni pizza, you know. And I'm just like,
Hairline start back here.
you know what I'm saying?
All that.
You know what? You know what?
You know
That
what I'm
wasn't
saying?
no issue.
Right.
That was no issue.
That can't be no
No, that wasn't my issue. This is my issue.
Yeah.
The little bitty ears and the big head and
Yeah,
the nose
man.
is my issue.
Yeah, so you know,
Oh my
I would literally do that, and you know, I tried to attempt it a few times, and but God definitely had His
What
hand
did you
on
do?
my-
Say that again?
Suicide a few times, and God really had His hand on my life because you know I could have been gone, and so I had these depression issues. And it got to where, because we men, we don't express ourselves the same way y'all do.
Yeah.
We tell you, society,
And
y'all
because
can't.
society tells us,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
you
no,
can't
no,
do
you
this,
can't do
I'm
that.
sorry, I
you
can.
do that.
Yeah, do it.
There
I
you
do
go.
it.
Yes, you
And
all
so,
had to
and
stood out, right?
the only influence that I had with that was my father. I saw my father cry, I think, twice in my life. Once when my uncle died, and then the second time was when my aunt did. But I had never seen my father break down. And so I never saw that to where he broke down, to where he conquered it. Like he said, the failures become your success. And you said something like betrayal. I believe that your betrayal puts you on the right trail to success.
Absolutely.
So even when people leave, but anyways, back to the depression thing. I went through that so bad. My you know, we don't believe, you know, in our culture of therapy. We don't believe in what happens in this house stays in this house. You know,
This is it. Don't talk
And
about
that's it.
outside these
Yeah.
walls.
this is it. We just gonna go to church and that's it.
That's
So I learned how to move forward with the same guilt, with the same depression, and when I got older, it just flared out. So yeah, I had depression problems like crazy, but how I got over it was the stage became my sanctuary. Because for that
Same here.
one and a half hours,
I released there.
1.5 hours, I'm in my zone. No one can touch me. I'm invincible. I'm just there, and I'm able to release everything in whatever character, whatever scene I'm on, and people be like, "Paul, you went to a whole nother level today,"
Yeah. You ain't
and they don't know that I just lost my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
because I lost one of the plays that people said that they loved was the night after I lost my brother. He overdosed on drugs, and people are like, "Paul, if you don't want to do the play, we can get somebody." I said, No. I gotta do this
Because you can pull that out.
because I can just pull this out, and I ain't gotta live with this for the rest of my life. Because some of my brothers and sisters, they still there, like he died 40 years ago, but they're like, it's happening all over.
Right
Yeah. And I'm like, I gotta let this go. So man, I hit that stage, and it's literally my sanctuary. I let everything go
Leave it right there.
Yeah.
from my depression to my disappointments, to every false hope that was given to me, I let it go on the stage or in front of the camera.
It's so funny that you say that because somebody told me once upon a time, because of all the things that I've been through and all the things that's happened, she was like, you need to be in therapy. And I'm like, but what? I mean, I think I'm pretty all right. And she said, because all this stuff happened to you and you act like nothing happened. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, I'm not boo-hooing, but it's because I had the theater outlet. I had that outlet where I'm crying and I'm boo-hooing on stage, and they think, like, oh, she really into it, but y'all don't know that I'm really dealing with some of my own real life issues, and I'm just taking those emotions and putting it into this character. And so it really is a sanctuary to let you as an outlet to express, even if it's something that I'm happy about. Like, I mean, I can reminisce in my head like about my daughter being born and how happy I was, and y'all thinking, oh my gosh, she's like so happy, and like how she really that happy on the stage. And it's because you don't know. I'm thinking about when my baby was born.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I love her so much, and and it's not that I'm in my head thinking about her, like, and I'm not here in the moment.
Right.
But I can take the feeling from that
Exactly.
and bring it into
Exactly.
this moment.
Exactly.
And it works.
I put a post up, and someone actually reposted it yesterday. I put it up last year, and I said, you know, we need to pray for our people that are in the arts, because I strongly believe that the most talented people are the most tormented people.
Absolutely.
And we need to pray for each other, because people don't understand, to be able to be creative, you lose yourself.
You have to.
You lose yourself, and you're literally on the border, and you're teeter-tottering with insanity. Because to be creative, you have to lose sense of reality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like those people that wrote those, you know, that people that were in slavery writing songs about freedom. They were literally on the brakes of insanity, because they had to break away from their reality to come up with something like freedom.
Well, and let's just keep it 100. In order for you to believe in a Christ that you never laid your eyes on,
Never laid eyes on.
the world will say just insanity.
It's insanity.
But you know what you've been through
You
with Christ.
know.
And you know what you feel when you're
spirit.
with Christ.
Yeah.
And you know that deeper. So
You're right.
Call on that name.
You're right. And we really have a, like Tony said, we have an obligation to share a message with people. And if someone comes to us and say, hey, that blessed me to change my life, it was all for it. I do a play called Beat the Streets, where I play a doctor, and he's like, He starts off as this bad dude, sells drugs and stuff like that. We do it for schools. We've been doing it for 7 years. And we traveled all over the United States with, like, all up and down the East Coast and Midwest. And y'all won't believe the testimonies that we hear. Like this one kid, he was in the 6th grade, and he was so standoffish when we came to talk to the boys. Cause we'll usually get a group of guys and just talk to them about life. You know, growing up in the projects, Herman Garden projects here in Detroit, and all that stuff. And he was like, you know, he was just so standoffish. He just had this mean mug on his face the whole time he was talking. And I pulled him to the side. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "what's going on?" He said, "I don't want to be here." I said, "But you had a choice. You could have went to gym." I mean, I know all us fellas, we love gym. You know what I'm saying? So why would you choose to be here instead of gym? I don't know. I said, "Well, tell me about yourself." He said, "I don't want to talk." I said, "Well, all right, well, you listen then." I said, "All right, I grew up here in Detroit, Michigan. I bet you think I probably grew up in South of the suburbs somewhere, but I grew up in the projects, man. I'm talking 5 kids on a twin mattress, sleeping head to foot, head to foot, head to foot, living with roaches and everything else. But my parents still made a way for us to where we didn't even know we were poor. You know what I'm saying? Eating syrup sandwiches, eating spam, eating government cheese.
Good.
You know, eating,
Man.
you know what I'm saying? Eating all these things. But we thought it was an activity. You know what I'm saying? Like it was arts and crafts to us. And he's like, "Man, I didn't know. I thought you." I said, "See, you can't judge a book by its cover. Now tell me about yourself." He said, "Man, I'm angry." I said, "Why are you angry?" Because I witnessed my brother get shot in the head when I was 2 years old. Died right in front of me.
You said he in 6th grade. He said this happened when he was 2. This baby been carrying this all those years.
All those years.
And never got a chance to express it.
No.
And just in this one interaction, he let you know, "I'm angry."
Yes.
And like for somebody to listen and to actually take out the time to care enough to even ask the question.
And see, and that's what we need because the arts, man, it opens up universal conversation. That you can't get from a therapist, that a pastor can't get to, that a mama can't get to, that some grandparents can't get to. But if you see a person, you say, "Man, that dude is just like me. I need to talk to that guy." Because you got a connection.
I think we need to do whatever we can as being in the arts to make sure it stays in the schools. Because you know how they're trying to take all that away.
Well, they have here.
They have.
But they're actually bringing it back.
Jesus.
And but you know, they closed the community centers. They closed took most of the arts out of all the schools. But I can honestly say that they are in the process of bringing all of that stuff back. It's just the fact that it's sad because now you have generations that didn't have what we had when we were younger. I mean, we had options. I had tons of options. You know, I had talented art, I had photography, I had pre-engineering, pre-law, pre-med. I had all that, but it's a whole generation of kids that don't have outlets. And their outlets would be just the basketball rim on the street.
It's
That's what
That's why I saw a video the other day. I saw a video the other day, and I saw Cat Williams in the hood. And the video was showing him get into a fight with a 15-year-old.
Oh, right. Yeah.
When I saw it,
Like a real fight?
Well,
2, 3 years.
when I saw it, I said, me and my wife was looking at it. She's like, "Look at this," and I looked at it, and I stopped it, and I looked at it again. I said, "I'm not mad at him." She was like, "What?"
That kid was disrespectful.
He was disrespectful.
He was very disrespectful.
I told her, "I'm not mad at him. Let me tell you why I'm not mad at him. This is a celebrity that went in the hood.
Right.
He took his talents in the hood. He could have got shot. He ain't had no security. Nothing. He just dropped himself off in the hood, played soccer or whatever else.
And
then a kid tried to challenge him, and he chin checked him. He told him, "Respect your adults," which was the right thing to do.
it's the right thing to do.
But then he turned around and said, when it was all over, he said, "This is why celebrities don't come to the hood." And I was like, we need to go.
Thank you.
We need to go, and I do go. I got dropped off in a place called Greenville, Mississippi. I'll never forget it.
I know Greenville.
Baby,
For you.
Tony said he turned all the way around there.
Oh my!
Not a
Nothing.
McDonald's. Do they have white
And then
McDonald's?
look, they had no. I didn't see none of that.
They don't have none.
All I
Just
saw
about
was
10
a
years
bunch
ago.
of hoodlums
We
on
like
the
way
corner.
up there.
I saw a bunch of hoodlums in the corner to the point where my driver was like, "I'm not driving you now." I said, to drop me off right here and stay here till I come back. I got out the car, and the guy that brought me in town was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Man, I'm gonna walk down here and holler at these brothers." I walked down, man, there was a bunch of dudes. And they wasn't the best looking cats. And they, you know, they've been out there all day, and you knew they were packing because they was all talking about it. And as I'm walking up, they got quiet. They was
don't
like,
know you.
yo.
But hold on, he ain't from these
Dog.
parts. You ain't from
And
these parts.
I was dressed a little bit. So I didn't have, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? But as I went on and I'm like, yo, what's happening, fellas? How y'all doing? Y'all good? Y'all all right? It was like,
Ain't he friendly?
and then one of them was like, yo,
I know you. You that.
ain't you famous?
I love
And
it.
I said, I'm no more famous than you.
That's awesome.
I'm on the same level with you. He was like, yo, man, y'all know what this thing? You know, he didn't say those words. Y'all know what this off TV, man. Let's do it off TV. My mama love you. My mama love you, dog. Oh, yo, can I get this picture? And then everybody warmed up. They're like, bro, what you doing here? I said, I'm coming here to hang out with y'all. What's up? What y'all doing? What we doing? They was like, yo, dude, you gonna come down here and be with the common people? I was like, what?
See,
The who?
yeah.
I said, dude, I'm coming.
That
I
was your
showed
sign,
them.
that's what's up.
When I pulled out my phone and showed them how I was raised, one brother started crying.
Wow.
He did. He started crying. He was like, I can't believe this. I said, I was raised on a farm. I had to go to the well to get the
Well,
water.
we had 3 springs. That first one was the one we drunk out of. The first 2 we can bathe out of.
Yeah. Now, and I took a
I
bath
carried them because we were the babies.
I took a
we were
bath.
the boys.
in a foot tub about this big.
Yep, in front of the
Me and my
fireplace.
brothers, it was 3 of us. Right in front of that iron stove, right in sitting in the middle of the living room. When I would lay down on the floor, I could watch little chickens roll by.
Yeah.
I would watch them
They got the
crawl
eggs
by.
every day.
And I was just like, they were like in shock. They were in shock, and I was like, I'm telling y'all this because if I can do this,
Yes.
you can. Yo, man, don't nobody come here. I said, I didn't come to me neither. I left. I had to leave. I got up and I got out. And they was like, yo, man, you know, we gotta keep it real. You know, we from such and such. I said, it's not where you from.
Mentality.
It's where you going.
Exactly.
I said, and if you don't go nowhere, where you from is gonna be your life.
And you can't help.
And I
from?
was like, look around. I said, look around. Y'all's houses on blocks.
Man,
Do you know how old that is?
Right.
Those houses on blocks. It's like, man, the governor
you
this,
down there?
the governor that, the governor this. I said, I just got through talking to the governor. I just did a thing where I talked to about 300, 400 students. And they had gangbangers over here, gangbangers over there. I went and sat right in the middle of them. I got my microphone, I went and sat right in the middle of the gang. So what's that you from? What's up? You know, Kristen, what you and I appealed to them. I said, okay, so I got my boys over here from the street. Which one of y'all ball players? What the ball players at? And the dudes jumped up. Oh, I'm a ball player. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, can I ask you a question? He over here talking about he's in the street. Do you think he got a chance to be a superstar? And he was like, no. I said, why not? Why not? He could change his mind right now and decide he's gonna be a superstar and be a superstar.
Yeah.
So I looked over there at them niggas. I said, who want to be a superstar? Which one of y'all want to be a superstar? What's up? Y'all got the talent to do it. If you're smart enough to run around in the street and do crazy stuff, then you're smart enough to make something out of your life. Because it takes creativity to get out here in these streets and survive. And survive.
Yes.
So take that creativity, do something different with it, and then you'll be good.
Right.
And then I had a friend of mine who came from Chicago, who at 11 years old used to be he ran one of the biggest gangs in Chicago. Because at 11, he had already had 3 murders. At 11. I brought this Negro with me, and when I tell you he let them youngsters have it, by the time he was done talking, the boys that was ganging was like, can I talk to him? I need to talk to him in private. They was pulling him to the side. They was asking questions.
Oh,
I mean, it was so awesome, y'all.
That is so awesome.
When I tell you, you talking about somebody, I didn't pray before I went in the group. But when I came out, I just said, "Ooh, Jesus." I was like, "Ooh, Jesus." What could have happened?
Right.
Yeah.
And the devil put that on your brain, what could have happened. But I thank God of what did happen. And it was such a blessing to the point. Pam, I'm gonna get her name in a minute. Pamela, I don't know if it's Hudson or something, but she used to be on The View. And she was out of Jackson. She's bringing me back. She's actually gonna bring me back to, not me to Greenville. I can't remember her name, last name. It's in my phone. But she's gonna bring me back down there to talk to the students. She's gonna bring them back in. It's a thing where we as entertainers, and I don't care what level of
We have to
entertainment
pay
you're
it
on,
forward,
we
y'all.
have to.
Right.
We gotta come up with something.
Continue, or it dies with us.
Yeah, we have to give them something to interest them more than Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to creatively come up with it, and we can. I found myself one time I was talking to a group of a boys club, and it was students that were kind of bad off, and I apologized to them. I straight out, I was like, you know what, y'all, I want to apologize to y'all for every time somebody said y'all were lost generation. That's a lie.
Man.
Oh yeah.
That's a lie.
It's
Y'all
a
didn't drop the ball. We
generation.
dropped the ball.
Generation.
We dropped the ball, and I said it, and there was a bunch of teachers in there. And when I tell you they cornered me after it was over, they was like, why would you say that to them? Why would you say
Right.
that we dropped the ball, they didn't drop the ball? I said, okay, was it our generation that they took out the Bible out of school? Was it our generation that took out prayer? Was it our generation that they said homosexuality is cool?
Yeah.
Was it our generation?
Yeah.
Or was it
It
theirs?
ours.
It's ours.
Yes.
I said, so you can't take responsibility.
Yes.
That way we can fix it.
Right. Right.
You can't fix it unless you
And
take
have some courage.
responsibility.
Have some courage to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm sorry, but man, look, if my kid act up and he in my house, y'all just might as well get ready to lock me up.
Me too. I'm going to jail because
Wow.
I
Yes,
y'all.
I
I'm in
Spoiled
jail.
child.
All right,
borrow my
come
belt.
I got my
We
book
all got
a
belts.
couple times.
on.
All right,
But
guys.
you
Well,
talked about, are we, is it
we-
nighttime?
yes.
Night
It's dark outside. It's
Thank you for
dark outside.
tuning in to our special edition
Thank
episode
you,
of
thank
My
you,
PJs.
thank
We
you.
kept you longer than we
My PJs.
normally do. We
Right.
apologize, but as you can tell, the dialogue was great. And we could
Awesome,
probably sit
yes.
here all night and talk to you
Yes.
guys,
Yeah.
but I know that you guys want to get to bed as well.
Yeah, y'all want to get to bed. I need to get to the rest of my.
We gotta
I need to get to work.
All right.
Thank you.
If you were walking in your purpose, you were trying to find your gift, you're trying to live your dream, just keep praying, stay
Right.
focused,
Yeah.
stand in your faith,
Yes.
do it for God.
Right.
You know, seek God first, and you will definitely succeed. And like we
Yes.
always tell you, surround yourself with positive,
Yes.
like-minded people.
Yes.
Any final words?
I do. I'm gonna leave this, and that is something I say everywhere I go, because I truly believe in this. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways." Now watch this pause. Watch this pause in all your ways. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. That means in good and in bad. And the reason why you acknowledge Him in your good and in your bad is because He already said you're not going to be perfect.
Absolutely.
All have sinned and fallen short of the glory
Yes.
of God. So that means you're going to continue to sin. So in all your ways, acknowledge Him.
And he shall.
He will.
You
Direct your path.
Yes,
Yes.
he will.
He'll direct.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
Thank
Nikki.
you.
I know where My PJ sign is at, but y'all know who we are. So tune in next week, 9 o'clock. Good night.
That's right. And then you know what? Next week we'll have Stevie Wonder, and he's gonna show you how to bake a souffle. Hey, fun, man.
Laughing and talking, the popcorn is popping, yeah.